Recently, I have posted a video that focuses on the topic of Trinity. And yeah, this is the video with the title Best Description of Trinity, a Muslim's Reaction. So in the video, I actually reacted to a comment by a Christian that tried to explain the Trinity. And it triggers more questions, hence the video. And under the video, I have received 2 comments and there's some thread there. I will make the video for each of this comment thread so that we can further discuss, and this video will be focusing on this one, and in the next video inshallah we'll be focusing on this one. So this is by Sylvia Arianti. So we'll just go through and see what we can, meaning what I understand and what I feel like commenting on, etc. Right? Okay. So the problem with explaining the Trinity is that it is entirely unique, having no perfect equivalent in existence. So all explanations will not be completely accurate. Okay, so here is part of what the Catechism of the Catholic Church says about the Trinity. Not all of what it says, as it would be very long comment otherwise. So that means that the discussion about the Trinity is very long. Is very long. That is interesting, because Tawheed is quite short, meaning that what essentially it is straightforward. It can be complete in one sentence, right? But Trinity, you know, given that it triggers questions, so I would assume that the discussion can be very long to understand what it is. Alright, so Christians are baptized in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit, not in their names. What does it mean? Baptized in the name of, but not in their names. Okay, for there is only one God, the Almighty Father, His only Son, and the Holy Spirit, the most holy Trinity. Okay, so several things that, you know, jump to my mind. Okay, there's only one God, but that one God, meaning I would always wonder, can Christian just believe in there's only one God, full stop? I don't know further details, including the Trinity. Will they be accepted as Christian? Right? Is believing the Trinity so central that you have to explicitly say you believe in it? Or if any Christian says, I believe in one God, full stop, would they still be considered Christian? So I'm interested in that. Anyway, second, the one God is described as the Almighty Father, His only Son. So this description is already trigger some question in me, because His only Son, that is the way we describe it as, so that's one entity, in this case the Father, and He have only one Son. His only Son mean only one Son exists, and by saying His Son, meaning that there's a relationship there, right? So His Son, and the Son is from the Father, the Son of the Father, right? But yet, even though it is described as such, it's only one. So from there, it's already I have been very clear about this. I mean, this can never make sense to me, right? So that's my position on it, but I'm simply still interested to know further, so I will read on through. I will not say, meaning me reading this is not saying that I agree with it. I just want to understand the point of view, right? Because for me, just reading until here, it's already beyond me to even make sense of this. And the Holy Spirit, the most holy Trinity. Okay, I'm not sure whether this means the most holy Trinity. Does it mean that there are other Trinity that is not as holy? Or is just description, the most holy Trinity as such? Anyway, the Trinity is a mystery of faith in the strict sense, one of the mysteries that are hidden in God, which can never be known unless they are revealed by God. Of course, as a Muslim, they are things in this category as well, right? Something that is considered as revealed knowledge, right? Meaning God revealed certain things and we know, because otherwise we can never discover those knowledge, right? Especially in the unseen, right? We can never do tests, etc., and then now I know how heaven looks like, or now I know how hell looks like, because it's beyond this universe, it's beyond this realm, space and time, etc., right? So those are part of revealed knowledge. When God says it is as such, now we know it is as such. So yes, we accept that there are knowledge that is never known unless revealed by God. So here, from Christian point of view, the Trinity is included in those kind of knowledge. Anyway, to be sure, God has left traces in his Trinitarian being in his work of creation and in his revelation throughout Old Testament. Okay, to be sure, God have left traces of his Trinitarian being in his work of creation, meaning there's a hint of it, I'm not sure, and in his revelation throughout Old Testament. But his inmost being as Holy Trinity is a mystery that is inaccessible to reason alone, and even to Israel's faith before the incarnation of God's Son and the sending of the Holy Spirit. Okay, so meaning that before this point, God never revealed about God's Son. This is even now, if it says Father, Son, right? Because God, there's three persons, right? Father, Son, Holy Spirit. So if the description is always God, Father's Son, so it's a relationship between two persons, right? But when it says God's Son, because this always puzzles me, because isn't God that God is the term that captured the three persons, right? But God's Son, so why it again doesn't make sense to me, but anyway, so point of this is that there's a time in history where God revealed, or God's Son and Holy Spirit come into play in this reality. Before that, it is almost non-existent from the perspective of human being, I guess. Even those who worship God and get revelation, prophets, etc., before that point in time in history, they never been, in direct, meaning these two, God's Son and Holy Spirit, is not really affecting anything, I would guess, because even to Israel's faith before incarnation of God's Son. So that's another topic with regard to why, how to understand that. Why is it, meaning only the Father is in the picture throughout history, and then suddenly here, is there any story for that? Anyway, the revelation of God as Trinity, the Father revealed by the Son. Many religions invoke God as Father. Many religions invoke God as Father. What other religion do that? I'm not familiar. I'm not familiar. Perhaps I can understand if from human perspective they see Father as authoritative figure, and hence it's extrapolated, and hence it becomes like that. But that is saying about human-made belief, right? The deity is often considered the father of gods and of men. Is this about Christianity, or is this about other religions, man-made religion? In Israel, God is called Father in as much as he is creator of the world. Okay, so this is to explain why the Father being called the Father, I'm guessing. Even more, God is Father because of the covenant and the gift of the law to Israel, his firstborn son. So Israel is his firstborn son. God's firstborn son is Israel. God is also called the father of the king of Israel. Okay. Most especially, he is the father of the poor, of the orphaned and the widowed who are under his loving protection. So I guess this is the explanation of why being called the father. Okay. By calling God Father, the language of faith indicates two main things: that God is the first origin of everything and transcendent authority, and that he is at the same time goodness and loving care of his children. God's parental tenderness can also be expressed by the image of motherhood, which emphasizes God's immanence, the intimacy between creator and creature. The language of faith thus draws on the human experience of parents, who are in a way the first representative of God for man. But this experience also tells us that human parents are fallible and can disfigure the face of fatherhood and motherhood. We ought therefore to recall that God transcends the human distinction between the sexes. He is neither man nor woman. He is God. He is also transcends human fatherhood and motherhood, although he is their origin and standard. No one is father as God is father. Okay, so if I understand correctly, being called the father because of this, the parenthood philosophy or role, fatherhood and motherhood, right? That is okay. So God, Father. So this is talking about God, right? Or talking about one particular person in God that is like a parent. Or God, because if the whole thing is, God is, so God is Father, so the whole thing is Father, right? God is Father. So if the trajectory of the story is like this, the narrative like this, it's more like God have three roles, something like that, is it? One role is like a parent, because so far before this, the way the description, including like God's son or the son, etc., that's a relationship, right? Not really a role, but like three different elements. Jesus revealed that God is Father in an unheard of sense. He is Father not only being Creator, He is eternally Father in relation to His only Son. What is this? Who is eternally Son only in relation to His Father? Okay, I'm lost. He is Father not only in being Creator, He is eternally Father in relation to His sons. So if following through the first paragraph, God is called Father because He's protective, He's caring, He's love, blah blah blah. He take care of, the poor, right? God of the poor. What is it? Father of the poor, right? Because under loving protection. So, but here, following that narrative, meaning that the Son within the God is being protected by the Father. So now, it's not a role then, there's like three elements, three figures, that have that, because this is care of this, right? This is the Father of the Son. No one knows the Son except the Father. No one knows the Son except the Father. And no one knows the Father except the Son. So words like this does mean or imply, relationship, right? Only me knowing this one, and this one also said, only me knowing this one, no one else know. We know each other best, no one else know, right? So it's very hard, meaning there's two entities there, right? And anyone to whom the Son chooses to reveal him. For this reason, the apostle confessed Jesus to be the Word. For this reason, the apostle confessed Jesus to be the Word. So meaning that Jesus is being said to be the Word is for this reason. That's interesting. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. As the image of the invisible God, as the radiance of the glory of God. Okay. So for this reason, for what reason? For this one, right? So even more puzzling to me, interesting. The Father and the Son revealed by the Spirit. Before his Passover, Jesus announced the sending of another paraclete, advocate, the Holy Spirit. So there's another advocate. So meaning, okay, in other words, one God have three advocates. Is that accurate to say? Because this is the word that being used here, right? Three advocates, meaning there's three active elements that can affect the world, that can affect human nature, right? So God have three different elements, you know. So the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. At work since creation. So it seems that the Father is the authoritative, the loving, protection, etc. The Son, it's not yet explained here what's the role of the Son, but the Holy Spirit is the one that seems to be the labor, right? At work since creation, having previously spoken through the prophets. So this is the part of God that, you know, the worker, so to speak. The Spirit will now be with and in disciples to teach them and guide them into all the truth. Okay? The Holy Spirit is revealed as another divine person with Jesus and the Father. Okay? So the eternal origin of the Holy Spirit is revealed in his mission in time. The eternal origin of the Holy Spirit, so meaning the Holy Spirit's origin, is revealed in his mission in time. Meaning the Holy Spirit have a specific mission given. Is it given by the Father? The Spirit is sent by the Father, I am assuming. So basically the Father is the leader, right? And protecting the Son, and send the Holy Spirit to do the work. The Spirit is sent to the apostle and to the church by both the Father in the name of the Son. Both by the Father and by the Son in person. So meaning that the Father, meaning there's two boss of the Spirit, right? One is the Father that's sending the Spirit, but the Father is sending in the name of the Son. I'm not sure why, because he loves his Son so much, perhaps, and by the Son in person. So the Son also go. Once he returned to the Father, and once he had returned to the Father, once the Son have returned to the Father, I guess. Is this after Jesus died? I'm not sure. What does it mean? Once he had returned to the Father, does it mean that after Jesus went down, Jesus go back up, and now the Holy Spirit is the one that is here among us? Is that what it means? The sending of the person of Spirit after Jesus' glorification reveals in its fullness and the mystery of the Holy Trinity. Yeah, so mysterious, I would say. So do I get it, you know, accurate to this so far? Meaning the Father have that role, have that characteristic, love so much the Son, and the Holy Spirit. I'm assuming it's still loved, but this is the worker that is being sent, right? Okay. During the first centuries, the church sought to clarify her Trinitarian faith both to deepen her own understanding of the faith and to defend it against the error that would deforming it. This clarification was the work of the early councils, aided by the theological work of the church fathers and sustained by the Christian people's sense of the faith. Okay, so in order to articulate the dogma of the Trinity, the church had to develop her own terminology with the help of certain notions of philosophical origin, substance, persons, hypostasis. Okay, so this is the words to make sense of or to refer to, right? I have heard this one before in some video that I don't understand what they were saying, relation and so on. In doing this, she did not submit the faith to human wisdom, but gave a new and unprecedented meaning to these terms, which from then on would be used. Okay, so these words come from the church or the church father, right? So going back to earlier points about the nature of God is only known when it is revealed by God himself. Okay, so that's accepted. Now going to here where the church father have to decide something to make sure that people still understanding this correctly, and comes these philosophical terms. So when God revealed about the Trinity, did God use any words or just simple words that still not enough to articulate, hence comes these philosophical words, or how? I'm interested to know that part, because as mentioned, and I agree, right, things about God, the nature of God, can only be revealed by God himself. It's not like we discuss here, let's decide something about God. No, God reveal. Come to this point and comes to these terms to describe the dogma of the Trinity, meaning, is it the central belief in Trinity that should have been revealed by God himself, or dogma of Trinity is more of technical discussion that not even if you don't understand this, it's okay, you are still a Christian, it doesn't affect your belief, so things like that. In doing this, she did not submit the faith to human wisdom, but gave a new unprecedented meaning to this term, which from then on would be used to signify an ineffable mystery, infinitely beyond all we can humanly understand. Okay, that's another thing. Of course, the actual reality of God, we can never, brain, because we are creation and limited, etc., etc. Understood. So what do we need? To what level that we need to understand God? Because in Islam, we also say the same thing, right? You cannot brain the majestic, God, the greatness of God, etc., etc. It's beyond what you can comprehend. It is beyond what you can imagine, etc. Understood, accepted. So the only thing that we need to accept is just the fundamental things. Allah revealed, Qul huwallahu ahad, Allahus samad, lam yalid wa lam yulad wa lam yakul lahu kufuwan ahad. Just an example, right? So that's the core of Tawheed. How do we understand the basic of oneness of God? God doesn't need anyone. God is the one that everything in need of, etc., etc. So that's fundamental thing that we can understand. God revealed it as such. We accept it. We believe in it. We understand it, right? Beyond that, we do not ask that God do not even reveal. So from what I've said about Islam, what about the Christian? Meaning that to what part of Trinity that God revealed that all Christians need to understand and believe in, and to what part is more of this is theological discussion, normal Christian don't really need to read or understand this is more of the church, etc., to conceptualize, blah blah blah, right? So which for example here, the word person, the word hypothesis, substance, this is which one? should it be understood by all Christians, or no, this is just theological discussion to conceptualize, etc., that not, Christian don't need to really dig into this, or it is, you must, otherwise your belief is problematic. Which one is it? The church uses the term substance, rendered also at times by essence or nature, to designate the divine being or in its unity. The term persons or hypostasis, to designate the Father, Son and Holy Spirit in the real distinction among them. So there's distinction between the three. Even though they are one, there's distinct between the three. And based on what I have read prior, because the role is very different, right? The role is very... Holy Spirit is quite clearly distinct in terms of the role. The Father and the Son, I guess the Father don't directly go to the creation, I guess. That's the distinction I can think of compared to the Son. Because the Son is being sent and Holy Spirit is being sent. Did the Father go down directly? Meaning when they said about Moses, God in the whatever, directly go to Moses. Is it the Father? Or is it Son? Okay, and the term relation, to designate the fact that their distinction lies in the relationship of each to the others. So this sentence kind of justify how I view it, because there's a relationship between this internal thing within that one, so-called one, right? So there's three different roles, the three different entities, the three different, like, sentient, not saying God is sentient being, but like, for the lack of a better word, right? Meaning that there's three entities that have its own, its own thing and relationship, right? So yeah, that's interesting. Feel free to further educate me if most of my comment is really, yeah. So, and in the next video, I'll be going through what is happening here. So yeah, thank you for watching. See you next time.